Action!
Well, hello and welcome back to That's One of My Favorite Podcasts, starring Samara, that's me, and my friend
And
Emily.
Emily. That's me.
And we just got done watching the 1978 The Wiz.
That we did indeed.
So, yeah, I had watched this before one time, I think. And then I had not watched it again, and I was just as confused and
I had never seen it before, and the what the heck moments were frequent.
yeah. So yeah, this movie was wild. And do you remember when they did the Wiz live a couple years back? And
Yes,
it
but I
was
don't think I caught it
so I
live.
didn't catch it either, but I saw the pictures and the promotions of it, and as I was typing in stuff for this, I saw the pictures and promotions for the Wiz live, and it looked more like a rip of the Wizard of Oz, like versus this was.
Yeah,
And
and I mean I've also seen pictures similar to that, and I wasn't expecting what we got. Do I think it
no.
was absolutely horrible? No. Am I a traditionalist and love the original? Yes.
So yeah, so my point of that was apparently the Wiz original was in 1974 on Broadway and won a bunch of Tony Awards, and it is a more direct rip of the Wizard of Oz. It's Dorothy's in Kansas. She's on a farm with her Aunt Em. She gets blown into Oz. It's more, she meets munchkins that are actual munchkins, and it's more of just a soulful I don't want to use the word blaxploitation because it is around that time, but I don't this feels like a blaxploitation film. I don't know.
So
So
this
they
whiz,
yes, that.
this whiz is different than the whiz that we watched with Diana
Yes.
Ross and Michael Jackson.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So the 1974 Broadway version, and then the one that they now made the Wiz live on Fox a couple years ago, are completely different. Apparently, they have a lot of the same songs, but the story is more towards the actual original Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
Which I
Maybe I
would
need
have,
to try to find a recording of the actual show production
yeah,
and not
that's
the movie musical.
right. That's what I want to find, and I tried to find it because I was like, oh, this is rated G. In what universe?
Is it
Is
really?
this?
There's no way.
Yes, I promise you. Because I immediately was like, oh my gosh, another Singing in the Rain. Like, Ruby can watch it with me. It'll be great. No.
You're like, please, child, avert your eyes.
No. Luckily, she was napping. Like, I had the foresight to watch it before sitting her with me.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know in what world this is rated G.
No, me neither. Me neither.
This movie is so dark, and it's like they urbanized it. So it's set in New York versus in Kansas, and they're like the yellow. I don't know. It was a lot. It was very dark, and there were parts that genuinely I was terrified.
Yeah, like when the quote unquote
The graffiti
munchkins
kids.
come out of the walls.
Yeah.
I was like, what's happening?
That
Please,
was the
somebody tell me what's
moment.
happening.
That was the moment that I was like, thank God that I did not just put this movie on.
The amount of times I wrote what is happening on my notes is
yeah.
astronomical.
Yes. So, so this movie was filmed in 2 months in New York. Yeah, From October 77 to December 77. So what? Yeah, October. What is that? 2 months? 3 months?
October to when?
December.
So did 3 months.
Okay. Excuse me. 3 months. This movie was filmed. And it's completely filmed in New York. And it looks like it's completely filmed in New York. Like that's one of the things that I have repeated on mine is where's the whimsy?
Yeah.
Where is the magic? Where is the it's so dark.
Yeah, like she's supposed to be transported somewhere else, but yet she still seems like she's in a form of New York.
Yeah, which I guess could be argued that technically Dorothy was never transported anywhere in the original. And it was kind of like her mind's like
Her dreams.
version of Kansas. Yeah. I don't know. But yeah. Let's dive on in. So because here it goes. So the Wiz, it's Dorothy who is Diana Ross.
Mm-hmm.
Which, first of all, they did her so dirty. Because
I didn't recognize her.
No. I Googled pictures of her in the 70s, and she is a stunning, glorious, beautiful woman. And she looked sickly.
She looked really skinny, and like, they didn't hardly put any makeup on her.
No. They did nothing special to her.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, girl, I felt bad. I love the makeup for other things, but for this, I was like, guys.
Mm-hmm. Like she's Dorothy. She's supposed to stand out a little bit.
And yeah, and they don't change her when she goes to Oz either. She remains the same the entire time. In her drab dress and in her no makeup. But not just no makeup, because, like, I don't have on makeup. Like, it's not that I'm one of those girls that's like, I gotta put on my face. But, like, she looked like they had put makeup on to make her look sick. Specifically. Yeah. Or, like, they were filming at 3 o'clock in the morning for, maybe they were. Maybe for 3 months they were filming at 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't know. It looked rough. But it opens on a family gathering. I thought at first it was Thanksgiving because they focused on the turkey, but then it was snowing, so maybe it was Christmas.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking.
And everybody seems really happy except for Dorothy.
Mm-hmm.
She just seems sad, and I didn't understand why.
No, and I wrote, Dorothy looks sad, but why?
Yeah, I never got why, other than Aunt Em was like, you're 25 years old, and you've never been here, and you ain't got no man, and you ain't got no prospects. I was like, I would be sad too.
Right. And I don't know if it's like, she got even more sad when it seems like her sister or cousin or whoever came in with the baby, and everybody was like, ooh, the baby.
Yeah, she just seemed sad this whole time. Just no happiness.
Mm-mm.
And so the lady who plays Aunt Em, gorgeous voice, but that song was out of left field.
Most of the songs are out of left field. I didn't have a connection with hardly any of the songs, and looking back at it, I only knew 2 of the songs before coming into this.
I knew 3
of the songs. Ease on Down the Road, and then the very last song that Dorothy sings before going home.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that one. That's it.
I knew the Be Kind to Yourself, Ease on Down, and What Would I Do If I Could Feel, I had heard before. Anyway, so Aunt Em sings this song, and the song kind of made me feel like something, like, I almost for a second was like, are y'all at a funeral?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a sorrowful song, but when you actually look at the Broadway version, apparently, like, they're having a bad crop year. And, like, stuff has happened, but Aunt Em is like, no, remember the good times. So like in that context, it makes more sense than this context. Like I don't. For a second, I thought it was a funeral, genuinely.
Yeah, no,
And
I didn't make a connection with it, and everybody was so like singing hardcore, getting into it, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening.
no. And then Aunt Em is like, giving her the quote unquote pep talk, which was really just like, you are way too introverted to pull it together.
Yeah, get your
And
life
Toto
together.
runs
Yeah,
out into a blizzard. And then the blizzard turns into a tornado,
in the
which is
middle
blown
of
by
New
space
York.
goddess with floating children next. Dude. Dude.
Those poor children on those harnesses, because they're just hanging
They
there
did.
like limp.
They did look like they were genuinely children on a harness. Like, no.
Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure they were. If you like pause it and look closely, there's one that's just like his arms are just like kind of limp, like I'm on a harness and I don't know what to do. But look at this weird woman in this pretty blue dress.
Yeah. So,
Is she supposed to be Glinda?
yeah, I think at the end it turns out it's Lena Horne
Mm-hmm.
who is like, I just went on a deep dive. I had heard about her in a podcast, and I just went on a full blown deep dive of Lena Horne doing research for this because she was phenomenal. So she looks white, but she is completely black. Like both of her parents are African descent, and she just happened to be white passing, and she was the first black woman to sign on to any major movie company, as she signed the long-term contract. She refused to play any sort of a maid or servant. They wanted her to reframe herself as Latina because that was somewhat more acceptable than being black. And she was like, no, absolutely not. And then she was a huge civil rights activist, like throughout her entire life. And she refused, and it hurt her too because they would put her in a lot of bit parts. Even though she wouldn't play maids, they would put her in a lot of bit parts because they would have to cut her out in the South when they sent over the movies. But they didn't want to reshoot or whatever, so they cut her out. They gave her bit parts that could be cut out that wouldn't mess up the movie.
The world.
That crazy? That's insane. But anyway, so it's Lena Horne who is labeled as Glinda the Good in the IMDb. So I believe this is Glinda. Although I thought, skipping ahead a little bit, I thought Miss One was Glinda.
I did too at first, and because my first thought was Glinda's a bag lady because she has all these like random bags that she's carrying.
I feel like at times I get the analogy, and then at times I lose the analogy.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, it's
I get
normally
that this
Glinda that gives her or that
Yeah.
shows her the slippers. So that's why I
Yes.
was like, this person's right out of left field because we never meet the witch of the East. No, she's not
North,
even a
south,
witch.
east, west. There were four. There were four of them, and there
There's
were the two
Glinda.
wicked
She was the
sisters.
South.
Yeah.
I guess.
So the wicked witch, or the good witch of the north, or the witch of the north, we never
So
learned about.
the Miss One was the North, maybe.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Glinda was the North because it was all snowy and whatnot around her. I think she may have been the South, and then she killed the one of the East, and then
I
of
don't
course
know,
the
man.
Wicked Witch of the West.
I don't know. And we watched this. We just watched this movie. I finished watching this movie today. I have no idea. Um.
Me neither.
So she gets dropped into a giant playground, which actually, this is the one place that I was like, this is whimsy. This is cool. I like this. I would want to go there. It gave me Squid Game vibes.
Until
watch-
things started crackling off the walls.
Right. Yeah. Oh, what was that? So
My face was legitimately like, what am
this
I
was the moment
watching?
I literally was like, thank God thank God that Ruby, thank God, because I don't even know. So all of a sudden, these graffiti covered body outlines start moving in the playground because she has killed the Wicked Witch
Of the East.
Evamine, which made
Yeah.
me bust. I busted out laughing at Evamine. They,
Evamine.
yes, Evamine. So she came in and knocked down the OZ symbol, and it landed on Evamine, freeing the graffiti kids. And they explained this whole thing. It made me laugh so hard because they explained this whole thing about how she cursed us because we were graffitiing on her playground and we're the Munchkins. And I was like, thank God you told me, because
Yeah, well, first I was like, are these Munchkins? And then they said they were Munchkins. I was like, oh, but they remind me, once they're like out and you see them, they remind
yeah.
me of those bears in the '90s that have like the overalls and you could like draw
You
on
draw
them.
the bears.
Yes,
Ah,
the way their
yes,
costumes look is like how you would draw on those bears.
I
You know what I
love it.
mean? I was
Yes.
like, their
Yep.
costumes are kind of cute. They remind me of like those little '90s, and then you throw them in the washer and then you can redraw on them.
Yes. Yes. I had one of those bears. Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah, I'll insert one of those here so you can see it.
Insert bear.
Insert.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Ah.
No,
But
but I
yes,
had to
exactly.
laugh
That's
when
the
she
struggle.
crashed through that like Oz sign and how she crashed through it. Like she was obviously zip lining through the sky.
But see, and I love 70s music or 70s movies. Daniel will come in sometimes and be like, "What are you watching?" Because I love those 70s B movies. I love blaxploitation films. Like I will watch Coffee any day of the week. Like and that before those reasons. And like even
Mhm.
the old kung fu movies where you can see the guy like on the wire like
Yeah.
I love them. It makes me so happy. It's so funny. But yeah, she zip lines in and crashes it. And
Yeah, and the Z
then
lands
Miss
on the
One
witch.
comes in, who we still, our guess, we're not figured out 100% who she is. But she explains that she's one of the four witches.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't,
And she doesn't have a lot of power.
and this, one of my favorite books is The Phantom Tollbooth. And they have the Kingdom of Numbers and then the Kingdom of Letters. And like in the Kingdom of Letters, they're like, one of the scenes is they give a speech and for dinner, and the guy stands up and he's like, sweet salt ice cream, and then that's what like the words come out, and it's sweet salt ice cream and like all this stuff. And then in Numbers it's kind of the same thing, like they eat subtraction soup where you get really hungry as you keep eating. And it was giving me like the kings talk like Miss One talks, where she's like, divide, subtract, multiply, and then you gotta multiply and divide the sub. Like it was cracking me up. I was getting very much Kingdom of Numbers vibes.
Yeah, I was getting very much what is happening vibes.
They kept doing all these silly little stupid puns, and it was making me laugh. But Miss One is a bag lady. Miss One is. She looks like a homeless woman on the street, but fabulous colors.
Her
But
hair
she's
has
carrying
numbers
all
in
these
it.
bags.
Her hair, did you notice her hair has like numbers stuck in it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I of course looked up the costume design for this movie and the makeup design. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Joel Shoemaker, and he did costumes for Batman and Robin,
Mm-hmm.
which is the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger
Is he the
and
one that
Poison
makes
Ivy.
the penguin look absolutely terrifying?
No, I don't think the penguin's in that movie.
Okay.
But he did, like, when I saw that, I was like, same vibes. Absolutely love that. The colors, the over the top. So, shout out to Joel Shoemaker. Thanks for listening, bro. We know you're here.
Wouldn't that be great?
So, yeah, I didn't know who Miss One was. The ruby slippers are replaced by, like, silver snakeskin.
Mm-hmm. Which the original, the slippers are supposed to be silver, but because they, in the original, and we may watch the original at some point and talk about this, because it was one of the first color movies,
Mm-hmm.
they wanted to really make it like pop, and so they're like,
Pop.
let's make them ruby slippers.
Yeah, which I think was a good call. Um,
Same.
yeah, and then they send her on the yellow brick road, and I was like, where is Toto? This stupid dog. I have "Where is Toto" like 72 times on my paper.
Me too.
Where is
I,
Toto?
I
Where is Toto?
literally said, um, I ask where's Toto, and then he appears as though he's like an afterthought, like, oh, well, maybe we should make the dog run after them because the whole reason she went
She went there.
outside was to save Toto.
She went outside to save Toto, and she didn't bring a leash. Also, like, girl.
No,
Anyway,
the same. I have, where's Toto? Oh, there he
yep,
is. Where's
yep,
Toto? Oh, there he
yep.
is. Where's Toto? Like, if
Yes.
I were her, I would have it, like, he'd be clutched somewhere to me the entire time.
Yeah, it. I have that 1,000 times. And then this is where we get like our first view of Oz, and it is so just dark and run down.
Hmm.
And I get that it's like an analogy for urbanization. Like I understand that 100%, but like
Hmm.
it really bothers me still. And one in the song that she sings as she's walking into Oz originally, she's like, "I'm amazed by everything I see here, girl. Where? What are you amazed by?"
Well, she goes from like that playground area to like this rundown field, like half the building is falling down, and then there's these crows and a scarecrow.
Yes. So the crow's makeup is so the prosthetic. Oh my god, the prosthetic is so
It was cool.
good.
Hmm.
I am obsessed with the prosthetic. I looked up everything about them. Hang on, let me find it because I have a million tabs open. Stan Winston, Jurassic Park, Alien, Judgment Day, Terminator 2. Phenomenal job on the crows. I have more shout outs 100%. Great job on the crows. The scarecrow sucked.
Yeah. No, what were those extra arm thingies that were on his shoulders? I couldn't
He
even. If you would have told me that was Michael Jackson, I would have been like, no, it's not.
Which might have been the point. I couldn't find anything about did he want to like be hidden?
Well, I looked up pictures of him in like the 70s, and
Mhm.
it was before, obviously, all of his surgeries,
Mhm.
or at least at the start of his surgeries. But there was like, they put something on his chin to make his chin elongated and
The chin
puffy. The
that
nose was strange. Like,
yeah,
I don't,
like
if he wanted to be non existent, like not recognizable, they did a great
yeah.
job.
I agree because if when he only when he started singing, even when he was talking, I was like that could be anybody. But when he started singing, obviously you know it's Michael Jackson.
Right.
But like it blew my mind that literally the crow face looked like a crow. Like, yup. If I saw
Hmm.
that walking down the street, I'd be like, absolutely, that's a crow person. But then Michael Jackson's scarecrow face was just so odd, and it looked
Yeah.
like it didn't fit or like it hung. I don't
Out
know.
of all of the other characters, his was like the
The
least
worst.
detailed, kind of
Mm-hmm.
sloppily thrown together. Like you can tell that that chin piece is a chin piece.
Yeah, it was really an odd contrast for sure.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and so we come into the courtyard of like a rundown apartment building, I guess, and there's a scarecrow that the crows are like indoctrinating,
Hmm.
and they're just calling him a straw paper dummy, and he just wants to get down. He keeps asking them like, "Hey guys, it's today that I'm gonna get down," and they're like, "We told you about getting down. You're not getting down. Like you're so dumb. You can't get down. You wouldn't survive." And then they make him sing like one of the most saddest but most upbeat. I don't.
Like the words were sad, but the music was like upbeat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And also, he's the way he was singing it, which I did look up clips of Elijah Kelly singing it because again, like, you know, these songs are being pulled and added stuff from the original The Wiz. So Elijah Kelly, I think, took Michael Jackson's version because he's like, when he sings "You Can't Win," he's like, "You can't," and then he like dives and up like win, like
Mm-hmm.
it's the weirdest thing. But he's up there hanging and he's gyrating and he's singing his sad song that is super depressing if you actually listen to the lyrics. Like, it was so sad.
Most of the songs are like that. Like,
Yeah. It really is. People are saying things are going to change, but they just look like they're staying the same. You can't get out of the game. There's no one else to blame. You can't win. You're standing too far behind. Like, and then, I mean, but he's singing it like it's a Michael Jackson song. Like, he's just poppy as happy as can be. But I do love the Scarecrow character because they make him full of what I think he's stuffed with Chinese fortune cookies.
yeah, because he keeps pulling out like little tidbits of like poetry or
Confucius
literature
said that.
or
He says that a lot.
speeches. Yeah.
And like Confucius says that, or like, it's gonna rain tomorrow. Ooh, like I think he's stuffed with the fortune cookies.
Yeah.
So he's stuffed with these paper scraps instead of hay, and he just kind of pulls these out. But he's also using words like superfluous,
Uh-huh.
which I think I just mispronounced, and like he's using these huge, like 50-cent words. And I feel like they're really laying on thick. And as we get to more characters, we'll talk about like how they're laying on. But I think they're really laying on thick the whole like, you had it in you all along, mister. Like, because he's using the words like superfluous and facetious and every single ACT word you can think of, just dropping them casually. And he's clearly the one that's making up all the thoughts and like the plan.
Mm-hmm.
But
I
obviously,
I agree.
yeah. So Dorothy decides she's going to help him down. They chase off the crows, Toto and her do, and they start easing on down the road. They go to Oz. She convinces him to go to Oz with them.
Well, the Scarecrow finds
He finds the road, yes.
the yellow brick road.
Which was like, for a second, it was just like a brick here, a brick. Like, it looked like the road had been demolished.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought it was going to be that way the whole time. And I was like, why are we doing that? But then they made it into like the actual whimsy type. Yeah. They end up randomly on a roller coaster, which they shot at Coney Island, but why the Yellow Brick Road went onto a roller coaster?
Yeah, it was like literally on the tracks.
Literally on the tracks, yes, exactly. And they meet the Tin Man, who I don't even understand, to be quite honest.
No, I don't either. Again, this is where I was like, what is happening? Why is he in the fetal position underneath this giant, like, lady? It's an inanimate object. Like, the lady's not real.
He's a carny worker or carnival attraction, and he was married to another carnival attraction, but it was like really like the statue of a carnival attraction, or the statue itself was a carnival attraction.
I didn't understand this at all.
No.
Other than the fact he's in the fetal position under this giant metal-looking woman.
Yes.
And he's stuck there.
Yes.
As her soul.
Yeah, so he calls out for help. They roll the giant metal thing off of him. And I love what he says where, what does he say? He says, the genius that created me only took care of my dashing good looks, my razor sharp wit, and my irresistible attraction to the wrong women.
Yeah.
He's so funny.
His costume is pretty cool. Like
Yes,
his
his
the prosthetics
costume
that they use on him. However,
and
his
his
bow
makeup.
tie, I really wanted him to use it as like a harmonica or something. The way
Give a
it
little
looks,
bit
I was
of,
like, you could like lift it up and play. I wanted him to do that the
oh,
entire movie, but he didn't.
oh yeah, that's a good point. That would be cute. Um, yeah. So he tells them that he doesn't have a heart, and he sings a beautiful. Oh my gosh, I love this song. What would I do if I could feel? Is so good. And yeah, it's so good. It's a little out of place. Everything's a little out of place,
It's a
but
good
it's
song, but I don't feel like I connected to any of these songs because I was so distracted by what was on the screen half the time.
I I was trying to think about the compare in comparison to the original to the Judy Garland version. I was like, this is all happening really fast,
Yes, super fast.
and I don't think that it happens this fast in the original movie.
I mean, yes and no, because she does meet all three characters like back to back to back, but I was thinking the same thing. Like, it's literally the next scene, like, cut, you're meeting a new one, cut, you're meeting a new one, cut.
Yeah, because I was trying to try to compare like grabbing scenes and trying to compare like what I thought they were from the original, and I was like, oh, I think the subway scene, which we haven't talked about yet, is the tree scene. But then I was like, no, the tree scene was just the scarecrow. So they did
It
have
was
that moment.
the Tin Man.
Well, but the apple trees, that's where they meet him. But like the scarecrow and Dorothy have their own scene
Yes.
where the apple trees are harassing them, and then they get the apples thrown at them.
Mm-hmm.
So like they have their own moment, then they meet the Tin Man, then they three have their own moment, then they meet the lion, then they have their own moment, and then they keep going. Like there
Right.
is a little bit more friendship can like developing character. This is literally like she meets Michael Jackson. They sing one stanza of "Ease on Down the Road." They meet the Tin Man. They sing one stanza. Like there is no development
Yeah, it's more like
of
I've met you. Oh, you need something. I bet the wizard could give it to you. Follow us.
yeah. It felt a lot faster,
Well, it's
which
probably because
maybe
they filmed it
is.
in 3 months.
I mean, how much work can you do? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
That's
So
moving on.
like, and they're clearly filming it at 3 o'clock in the morning, if you believe Diana Ross's face. So I just think it's this beautiful song, and when he started crying and he locked his own jaw, like he's teeny. And he like you can just see the actor being like the water is going to spray out of my like back up made me
Right.
laugh. I loved it. I love prosthetics. I love practical effects. I also love so this is the only like they look like what I think tap dancing like when I tap dance to quote unquote like I because we've talked about a couple times that I just tap dancing blows my mind. Like I
Uh-huh.
don't understand how it works, whatever, and like they look like what I would look like if I tried to tap dance. Like it is very clear that they were not tap dancing
Yeah, there's a lot of chaotic
at all.
dancing happening.
Yeah, so because they started singing the "Slide Me Some Oil" song,
Yeah, almost
and
immediately. Like
right,
they barely ended that one song, and then they're like, oh, like I almost felt like
slide.
it was the same song. It was just like, you know,
Yeah, there's a couple of moments like that for real. But their tap dancing just looked exactly like if you told me tap dance, Samara, I'd be like ta 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 ta. Like that's exactly what it looked like. Especially Diana. I hate to say it, especially Diana. I was like, girlfriend, stop. But
there's a few
apparently,
times in the movie that I was like, okay, I know you can sing, but
right,
your acting is not great
not.
to me. I feel like sometimes it's underwhelming, and sometimes I'm like, girl, you need to calm down. And sometimes I'm like, you're really, really starting to annoy me.
Yeah. So the Tin Man is played by Nipsey Russell, who started in vaudeville.
Hmm.
So maybe he did know how to tap dance, but I'm not 100% sure. But Diana did not know how to tap dance. Um,
Yeah.
and I would agree with you. There were times where I was like, "What are we emoting here?"
Hmm.
And I think it's so funny that we're both sitting here as not actors and not million quadrillionaires being like, your acting sucked, Diana Ross. But like
Well, I just feel like they pulled like some of these actors in there because of their amazing voice. Like, I think, because I've seen Michael Jackson act outside of this without all of
hmm
the prosthetics on, and he's a pretty good actor. But, like, I've never seen Diana Ross in anything else that I'm aware of,
hmm
and I know the woman can sing. Like, there's no doubt about that. But some
Yeah.
of her acting, I was just like, either it was too much, and I felt like she was overacting,
hmm
or I didn't know why her emotion was the way like she was portraying it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's a moment with the lion that I definitely was like, pardon?
Yeah,
Um,
I know
so they,
exactly which part you're talking about because it made me
yeah.
uncomfortable.
Uh, okay, we'll get there.
Yeah.
Uh, I hate this. I hate having to like, did you see the giant like Nathan's hot dogs
Yes.
advertisement? It got like a 30-second like we're dancing, but really it's just a slow zoom onto Nathan's hot dogs. Okay, bye.
Yeah. Not sponsored though.
Right, not
Pro-
sponsored.
Product
Um,
placement at its finest.
so then they walk by a library and the stone. Why is the lion in stone?
He says something like he's hiding. He's in hiding because he was too afraid to be the king of the forest.
He got outcasted for being for the king
For
of the
being doing
forest part.
yeah.
Oh, but did they put him in stone and then he just got the strength? Because also he's cowardly, but he bursts out and like attacks these people.
Well, so
This
does the
man,
original,
this
but then
lion,
he's terrified of the dog, which he doesn't really get terrified of Toto,
he
but until he
bit
bites him.
my paw.
Yeah.
Ted Ross, this, oh my gosh. The lion, can the lion be one of my dream roles now? Because the way that, but I want to do the lion the way that he does the lion. The lion is so fabulous.
Yeah.
I am obsessed with this lion. The song that he sings, the energy that he puts into it, the little like, the Danny Zuko, Elvis, wiggly vibes, love it so much.
I'm still partial to the if I were king of the forest. The original though.
That's fair, but I mean,
No, but it
and
was
and
good.
and also like back to the makeup thing, like the
Mm-hmm.
lion's like mouth nose part
Mm-hmm.
moved
Yeah.
when he spoke. It would twitch and do what it was supposed to do. His makeup is so good, and I love the fact that like his fur coat is actually a coat.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just kind of took the style. I, honestly, like this is up there for like my favorite outfit, even though I know it's not necessarily an outfit. Like it's so well designed and so good. And then his voice and this song is so much fun. Um, I just love him. This was like the redemption for the movie. Like anytime the lion was on stage, just like let him talk more,
Yeah.
do more with him. Except for the one part that we almost got to yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
He gave me Rum Tum Tugger vibes.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah, like he
Especially
was
because at
very
one
like
part he did fluff up like his mane a little bit, and I was like,
Rum
he
Tum
just
Tugger is a furious cat. Yes, very
don't
good.
get me
Love
started
him.
on cats.
So he,
Cats.
yeah.
Anybody's watching the video, it's right behind me.
We haven't even talked about the taxis. Just like
Off duty, like what do they even mean?
but like they're there and they go to the taxi and then they're like, bling, just kidding, not there anymore, we're off duty.
Yeah, I don't know what.
Weird. They just completely ignore the taxis at this point, and then they go into the subway.
Hmm.
This part too.
This part, I was like, what is happening? What? Who is this guy that brings these weird accordion thingies that like blow up and chase them?
Yeah, because at first I was like, okay, so this must be a flying monkey, but then no, there are flying monkeys.
Well, yeah, at this point, I'm like, who's sending this after them? Like, who's after them? We have not met a
We
villain.
haven't. No, we haven't met a villain. We haven't had any discussion. There's no villain background yet of like, Dorothy, who's that? She's got my sister's shoe. There's none
Yeah.
of that. And it's so they just randomly this guy with these puppets and these whirligigs, and then the puppets start bouncing and then they grow and they are terrifying. I did not like them
No.
at all. Again,
No, another
thank
good
God.
reason why your daughter's not watching. Yeah, because that would have
Thank
been
God I don't
mortifying.
just listen to G ratings, because no.
G ratings in the
Um,
70s is different.
clearly. Yeah, and so they fight off the lion. Again, they're really thickness. The thickness of
Hmm.
he was brave all along because he saved them from the chomping trash cans and the subway brick boulders that suddenly
Yeah,
came to life.
the pillars. Yeah.
Yeah. And the electric this movie would be terrifying to be like high or drunk.
I almost feel like the people who were editing this and had this
Well, it was the
idea were high and drunk.
70s. But like I was thinking that at one point I was like, could you imagine? Like just like oh god. Anyway. So the lion saves them because he's been brave the whole time. And then this part again just makes no sense. It's Poppy's love perfume. Which, like, okay, yeah, it's the poppy, like, sure, whatever, it's the poppy field. But it's a bunch of ladies who work the night, I assume. And they basically, they're just kind of like, they're doing a lot of, like, bend and snap, but, like, slow and, like,
Hmm.
ah, ooh,
Yeah.
and ah, like, sexy aerobics or,
And then Rum Tum Tugger
oh,
Lion
yeah.
is like, follow me, we'll have a great time.
Yeah, he's super here for it. He's super into it. Of course, they're the only two that are affected because they're the mammals and Toto. And they
Mhm.
get, but then like nothing happened. Like, why did they get drugged? Because in the movie, they
The
got drugged and did.
the Wicked Witch of the West was like
She put the
planted
curse
the
on the pop.
poppies and made them fall asleep, trying to
Right,
stop them from getting to the Oz. But again, like we haven't seen this villain. But you
right.
do. Did you notice that when we do meet the Wicked Witch of the West, that those girls that were like
Or
chained up, like they
changed.
were in trouble for
Yeah.
letting them go? But then you're like, we didn't even know that you
But
sent
the
them.
crow and the crows too. It was I kind of got the vibe more that she was just getting people.
I got the vibe that they were supposed to be working for her and they just forgot to put a scene in where it's like, you took my sister's slippers, I'm gonna get you and your little dog too, like in the normal contents of Wizard
I
of
have
Oz.
no
But
idea.
I feel like they honestly forgot to put that in there.
Yeah, it is a bizarre because you're right. Like that would make sense of like, hey, my underlings didn't because they're obviously the bad guys, but why are they the bad guys?
Right.
Yeah, but they end up getting drugged and like put in this slide, but the slide goes up. Did you? I was like, how's this? Oh no, it was like a pulley system. They were doing the pulley system, but they weren't stopping the Scarecrow and the Tin Man from running right past them and up the ladder. Like I was like, what's happening? Like stop, seize them. I don't know.
Yeah.
Which makes me think they weren't working for the Wicked Witch because that I don't know.
I have no idea.
I'm I'm stressed. I'm stressed and I don't understand. Yeah.
I'm hysterical.
So
And what?
yeah.
That I'm hysterical.
I'm hysterical and what? I'm in pain. I'm still hysterical. I love that movie.
I did.
It's so good.
Is that on my
Um,
list?
it is. It is
Okay.
1,000%. Yes.
Okay, good.
Um. So then the lion wakes up. Dorothy wakes up because again the Tin Man cries and that wakes him up. Teeny. Anyway, so
Instead of
I'm not
snow
talking to
slash,
you, dog. Shut up.
instead of like snow asbestos raining down on them to wake them
Oh
up,
my god, yeah.
it's tears.
It's liquid acid tears. Because it's the 70s. Acid. Anyway, so yeah, when he wakes up, he sees Dorothy, and he gives this whole Shakespearean monologue that I just eat up. I love this actor. I love this portrayal. Like, it's so good. And then he's like, he won't listen to them being like, she's fine, she's awake. Like, he's still monologuing, and then he's like, I'm going to kill myself.
I'm just gonna jump. Yeah.
And goes to
End it
jump
all.
off. And then she sings this. Oh,
This whole scene, I was so, like, I was cringing. I was hiding from the screen.
So in the original Wizard of Oz, there were more scenes about the Scarecrow and Dorothy. And I believe there was even a kiss. We'll do more research on the actual original Oz that got removed.
Oh.
And the reason now, because I don't want to talk about it when, I want to talk about it now. Anyway, so that's why there was that kind of weird, like, and I'll miss you most of all, Scarecrow, that people make comments about. So in the original Oz, it's like she and the Scarecrow kind of linked up there. And I was like, are her and the lion gonna link up? Because this was the weirdest. Gosh.
He's like
I hated this.
nuzzling with her and like going,
It's like he
like,
was
please stop.
a kid, like a young child, but like he wasn't a young child. He was clearly a grown lion, grown man.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the same time, you were like, oh, are they gonna get together? Like, it was very. I didn't like it at all.
No. I didn't get the vibe that they were like in love. I got the vibe that she was coddling him because he was acting like a cub, like nuzzling with like into her like a mother figure in it. It was very cringy.
When he started standing up and kind of like believing what she was saying, that's when I was like, oh no. Because he had been so childlike in the original part of that song.
Uh-huh.
So I think that's where I was like, oh, okay, he's acting like a baby. Are they gonna kiss? Like, no.
Yeah.
This was uncomfortable. Yeah. I hated it.
I did too.
Very, very much.
This is another reason when I wrote, what is happening?
Yeah. It is not a good vibe. So they finally get to Oz. This was every mall in America's courtyard. This was so lame. I hated this. I was really disappointed.
The view, like before they go across the bridge, like what looked like the Brooklyn Bridge. Did you see like the apple? The sun was the apple. I was like, what? I know that they're alluding to like the Big Apple, but I was just like, why was that shot necessary?
Why was a lot of this necessary? Why was changing it into New York necessary? I don't know. So they get to Oz, and I liked the vibe of what was happening. Basically, like in the song, they were like, you have to be seen wearing green, and like, don't let them know that you gave up your last meal for your hair dye. Like, it was, and I mean, all of it rhymed and was better. I'm just like remembering what they said. And I really liked that aspect, like the greed part and like keeping up with the Joneses.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the background and the vibe, I was like, this is a courtyard at a mall
Mm-hmm.
with green lights. Like, this is nothing special. The dancing was cool, and then you find out that the wizard's just calling down what's in trend.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden they sing about being green and like they wouldn't be caught dead in red, and then all of a sudden the wizard, who is Richard Pryor, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
amazing,
Mm-hmm.
comes down and is like, or he speaks to them and he's like, green's out, red's in, and then all of a sudden they're all in red, and they're like,
I was
won't
trying
be
to figure
caught
out from
dead
like
by red.
a behind the scenes standpoint, are they really wearing silver and the lights change there? Or do they
That,
change because each time you see like a person they're in that same outfit, it's just a different color now?
yeah, that would be the most cost efficient. If I had to assume that would be the most cost efficient, is to make them have white or silver,
Mm-hmm.
and then just change the lights. And I also agree with you because their skin
Changes the colors too.
looked
Yeah.
looked that right, white, that red, that gold
Mm-hmm.
color as well. So if I had to put money on it, I would say that's, they all had one outfit,
Because there were
and then
so many
they,
people, and to film that in, like you said, 3 months and have 3 costume changes for one scene seems a little.
for like 150 people in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people. So that's why I was trying to figure out, do these people have some type of reflective silver on, and then they have lights just projected on them to change them the separate colors? Because they go from green to red to gold.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that, but I would definitely say that that was what they did,
That would
because
be the smart move, anyways.
that would be the smart move. The like by the time they got to gold, I was like, yo, this is annoying.
Yeah. Like, this is really
Like,
long.
I would not live here.
Yeah.
Because they just keep changing their color. They keep waiting for the Wiz to speak on what color is next and what color is the best, and what's gonna be,
It's like every 5 minutes, too.
Yeah, it really was like they sang a couple lines and then they were like, just kidding.
Yeah.
And it was not. Yeah. I thought that this article was going to have it, but it didn't. So I'm going to keep moving on. Um, it was a lot. So then finally they're like, oh, the cool little, like, I did think these guys were pretty cool, but also terrifying. There was a lot of that, of like cool but terrifying. The people cameras
Oh, yeah, and the
and the
mic.
people microphone
Yeah.
that looked like a cardboard, like, and then they waddled over and like pointed the camera at. It was that was like kind of cool. I wish that if there had been more whimsy with Oz and more whimsy with stuff, that would have been a lot more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But there wasn't.
No.
So the wizard's like, hey, send up Dorothy, and Dorothy's like, okay. And then I love how they're like walking through the line. They're like, I've been waiting for 2 years to meet the wizard. I've been waiting for 4.
Do you want to go home with me? Yeah.
You want to go home tonight? You guys want to come over for dinner? Tell them, give it a good word for me. Like, they all have just wanting to see the wizard. They never don't know who the wizard is, but he controls everything.
Mm-hmm.
And they get to the front, and she's like, my friends have to come with me. And he's like, no riffraff.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, then I'm not coming. And everybody's like, what? Like,
Yeah.
she just talked back to the Wiz. And then he's like, all right, send in the riffraff. That made me laugh.
Like, okay.
Send in the riffraff. I was like, hee hee hee.
Yeah.
So they just go in the elevator, come out of the elevator, and then it's a giant Richard Pryor head that's silver.
Yeah.
And he, of course, randomly... See, there's no connection. There's no anything like in the original movie.
No. He's like, I'll help you get all this stuff if you give me your slippers. And she's like, no. Okay. Then go kill the Wicked
kill
Witch of the West.
Eveline.
Yeah. Eveline.
And she's like... Yeah, Eveline, excuse me. Eveline. It's
Eveline.
Evamine and Eveline.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's no connection as to like what she's done. She's not a terror. She's not a threat. Like
No,
that we know. I mean, obviously there might be in the background, but like in the original, she comes to Munchkinland, she threatens them. Her and her sister have been kind of like awful
yeah.
and like running rampant, and then in
Yeah,
this,
it's
it's just
not
like go kill
until
her.
it's not until they like are sneaking in do you hear her say like go find these people for me. But you're like,
Yeah,
how do you even know about them?
right. It and
Other
it
than the fact that she dropped a Z on your sister.
right, but we don't see her processing that or like getting that information or being mad about that and sending people after her.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. You can argue that the Wizard of Oz makes no sense, but like this really makes no sense when you
Yeah.
take it this way.
But at
I
least
also
they leave like little
again
breadcrumbs of why the Wicked Witch of the West hates Dorothy.
that's true. I also liked when he was like, "I want a brain. I want a this. I want to get the hell up out of here."
Yeah, that did crack me up. And then he's
And
like,
I also was
he
like,
wants courage. Is that true? Whatever she says.
the G rating. Where did that go? There was no G. But that made me bust out laughing. I was like, dude, but it's kind of what the guy said in the original. He just didn't say that.
No.
He said, "I want to go." Yeah. So then we finally okay. Let's talk about this. Eveline runs a sweatshop.
Uh-huh. That's exactly what I put. We're now in a sweatshop.
It says on the sign, Eveline Sweatshop, mass producers of sweat. But then they're also sewing things like a regular sweatshop.
Yeah.
So is it just, so what did they, huh?
And at the same time, and I just put this together. She's allergic to water. And she runs a sweatshop that produces sweat.
Which is, I guess, arguably saline and not water? Emily, I don't know. I don't know, okay?
Me either.
I don't know.
But they all have
but,
these weird prosthetic things on too.
Yeah, so they all look, I don't even know what the right word is. They look like they're all wearing like leather suit, almost like diving suits is kind of what I thought they were at first, but then you kind of almost see like they have the head from Lilo and Stitch.
Mm-hmm.
Like the doll.
Mm-hmm.
Like the voodoo head or whatever.
Yeah.
But my question, so are they making clothes or are they making sweat? And if they're making sweat, why are they not exercising? Why are they making clothes? Because you don't really get, I don't know. But I'll tell you what. Mabel King can sing. Oh my word.
This was the first time in the movie, other than Ease on Down the Road, that my foot was tapping.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like the Lion song. But this song was so good. She was so good. And quite frankly, this and the Lion are my two favorite outfits.
Mm-hmm. Her dress was pretty cool. And she has like 3 crowns on her head. Did you notice that?
Yes, I noticed that. I noticed the 3 crowns. If I don't see something that automatically is like, takes my breath away, I try to go as to like what I would cosplay as or like which, because sometimes there's nothing that's beautiful or like, oh, like, so I'm like, what is interesting to me? And this was super interesting with the gears and like the trinkets all over it. The shape was really nice on her. I wish it was a touch longer. Mm-hmm. Like if it was just a straight up gown, I would have been like, oh yes. It's kind of like a baby doll, like a silky dress almost. Mm-hmm. But
Very
this was
puffy.
probably, yeah. And then again, her makeup prosthetic, because I was like, what does this woman look like? Because it looked like she had the biggest nose in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and it looked real. It looked
Hers looked real. The dancers around her did not.
no, they just looked like there's a movie. I don't know if you know or you would know. It's called Trick or Treat.
Mm-mm.
You've probably seen. His name is Sam. You've probably seen him. He's like the mascot during Halloween. You've probably seen him. They look like grown-up melted versions of Sam. And if you saw, hang on, I send you a picture.
Okay.
Sam Trick or Treat. Okay. Insert. Do 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 music. The please hold music. All right, I just messaged you.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So they look like Sam from Trick or Treat, but like grown up and melted and with some weird accents. I don't know what's going on with those guys though.
All I know is that their dance, I was like, they've got to be winded.
Dude, their dance was really cool. That sound was really cool. I love the song. Don't give me no bad news.
Uh-huh.
Like, yep, facts. I'm here with you. And then the flying monkeys came in, which cracked me up because they are like motorcycle monkey hybrids.
Yeah. And apparently they stink.
And they stink, yeah, like to their face. To their face. Yeah, so she sends her flying monkeys after them. We didn't even talk about that they had to go in the sewer to get them, to get to the Aveline.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, sure.
But then all of a sudden they're in like this crazy parking garage.
Yeah, they're in a parking garage in what's clearly a stadium. And I hate that I can kind of see that. Like, I wish that it was just, again, the whimsy is lost.
Yeah.
I love the part that the Tin Man is trying to run away, but he's on the up escalator or he's on the down escalator trying to go up.
Uh-huh.
And so finally he just sits down because he's like, okay,
I'm not going anywhere.
He's super tired.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, they're just like in a parking garage running, and then they jump into just a trash can to hide. And they don't have Toto. Where's Toto?
Yeah. And every time she screams for Toto, I'm like, oh, geez. There he is.
And not only that, but like she screams, they're all in there, they're all hiding, they're all secure, and then she's like, Toto! Toto! Like she gives them away, looking for this stupid dog. I am not one for animals dying in movies, but like Toto could have gone. He could have gone. I was annoyed the whole time.
I was annoyed the whole time, but I'm just like, why aren't you like actively holding him, or show the dog following him more often? Seriously. Oh, we forgot Toto. Here's a shot of him trying to catch up with them like three scenes later.
Here. Oh yeah, we've not seen this dog the whole time. Oh, where's Toto? There he is. Anyway, moving on.
Continue.
So the flying monkeys capture them, and then they cut the scarecrow in half. Oh, she tries to grab the shoes, and it rolls her hands like
backwards.
Her finger.
That's terrifying all in itself.
That was pretty gross. I was like, it was very unexpected. Obviously, like once I was like, oh, this doesn't look real. But at first I was like,
Are you the one? I can't remember out of all of our friend groups if you're the one that hates things that happen with fingernails.
I don't like fingernails.
So that is you. So I thought of that when it was like rolling backwards. I was like, is Samara like totally hiding right now?
No, because they didn't break the fingers. But I'm also the one in the group that can bend all of my fingers back and touch my hand.
Yeah, I just remember you saying like anything like in horror films or scary movies that if it has to do with fingernails, like you're done, you're out. I'm out of here.
House of Wax ruined my life. Just okay, move on. So anyway.
You like
Look at my
totally
nails.
Halloween patted yourself.
I haven't bitten my nails in like 3 weeks. They're so good now. They're so beautiful. They make noise. Anyway. So yeah. So they cut the scarecrow in half and he's like, it's all cool, doesn't hurt. And then they squash like a car compactor, they squash the Tin Man. And he says the same thing. He's like, it's all cool, doesn't hurt. Then they string the freaking lion up by his tail. And I'm like, that hurts.
He was definitely not like, I'm okay.
Yeah, he just was like, don't tell them.
Yeah.
But I was like, we escalated the violence.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And she's like, cool, no problem, not gonna tell him. And then they threaten to burn Toto in a freaking furnace.
Do you want sauerkraut or mustard for your hot dog? I was like, me, like the person who was really like, where's Toto this entire time? I'm like, no. Too far. You've gone too far.
No, I take back what I said about Toto. You can't burn him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, of course, she's like, I'll give you the slippers. And then Michael Jackson character, the Scarecrow, is like, oh, pull the fire alarm. Which I was like, listen, I respect where your brain's going. It's not going to put out the furnace. That's not how furnaces work. There's a tiny hole full of molten hot fire. But it puts it out. And it also, she's allergic to water and she slides into what is her throne, which was a toilet.
Yeah.
Didn't notice that. Sure.
I didn't notice that it was a toilet. I just thought it was like a pipe of sorts.
I'm pretty positive it was a toilet, but maybe it was just a pipe. I don't.
Well,
at
they
this
were
point,
in the sewers, so.
Well, because the next part really just kind of took every life out of me, to be quite honest.
Yes. So, this is the epitome of what is happening.
Oh my god. So at first, everybody's just happy, and it's the people in the weird costumes, and they're dancing around. And they sing a song about the new day, and it be kind and be whatever. I don't even know. At this point, I'm checked out.
And speaking of like the lion, I have never seen somebody's mouth open up so wide to sing than he did in this song.
I have that too.
It's like, how big is his mouth?
Both him and Diana Ross, I just don't know
with
if they
all
can
their teeth.
lip-sync.
All the teeth.
Yeah, I don't know if they're lip syncing or what, but I mean, yes, the lion like
dubbed.
down his gullet. You can see his stomach. It is
like
so wild.
Dennis' dream. I could see every single one of his teeth.
Mm-hmm. He got pretty teeth though.
Mm-hmm.
So it's first it's just the people in the thing, and then they unzip their skin to reveal like it reminds me of what lyrical dance people wear. I don't know, bathing suits.
Yeah, the women are in like ruffle butt bathing suit bikinis, and the men are in like
tidy whities,
thongs.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's awkward.
And then they do the second rendition of that song, and the one girl just completely loses her place. I sent you that.
I did. I laughed at that because I wasn't to that point yet, but I saw like clips of that from the trailer, so I kind of knew that was coming, because otherwise I would have been like, what? Is this the same movie? Because what's happening?
And I mean, when you think about, I guess, that there's like 150 people doing however many dances over 3 months, I guess you would forget what you were doing. But girl just so happened to be right behind Diana Ross on a Diana Ross close-up, zoom out. And, I mean, it was like, I don't know what I'm doing, and spin with everybody. Like, it was so obvious. Said the non-dancer. um, Sitting on her couch. Yeah, so they go to the Wiz, but he's not expecting them, so they find the head, like, chilling. And then they find Richard Pryor. I love me some Richard Pryor. So much.
I like Richard Pryor, but this whole scene I couldn't understand a word he was saying.
No.
Not a word.
Yeah. No, he was very, yeah, apparently according to the Wikipedia, he was a politician.
I did catch
Or wanted
that.
to be a
and he couldn't-
politician from Atlantic City.
Yeah.
And he was so bad and so unsupported that he finally had to try to run for dog catcher, which apparently was like the lowest of the low. I don't know what the totem pole is of government officials. But the dog catcher's at the bottom, according to Richard Pryor. And he lost to that, but he didn't lose to that. He was doing an advertising campaign in a hot air balloon.
Uh-huh.
And the hot air balloon blew him into Oz, where he then became the Wiz. And people were finally listening to him and caring about what he says.
Yeah.
Sure. I love Richard Pryor, though. I love everything that he does. He helps with Mel Brooks movies a lot. He's so funny. And he's friends with my boy, Gene Wilder. You know how I feel about him. My step-parents would always, my mom and my stepdad would always buy us like a $5 movie for Christmas or birthdays and stuff for fun. And one of them they got me was a Richard Pryor movie called The Toy, and that was like my first introduction to him. And then as I grew up and whatever, I just remember one time I threw on the TV and I was flipping through the channels and I saw Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder. And that was before I knew that they were kind of like known to go together. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love me some Gene Wilder. I love this guy. I'm going to watch this movie. And it was called Hear No Evil, See No Evil. Have you heard it?
I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
Okay, so Gene Wilder plays a deaf man and Richard Pryor plays a blind man who then end up, I think, like witnessing or something, a crime or whatever. I don't know, because I was scarred for life because Richard Pryor comes in and he's talking to Gene Wilder and Gene Wilder's like, what? Huh? And he's like, are you deaf? And Gene Wilder goes, yes, I'm beeping deaf. And I was like, Gene, swore! Ah! Like, I was so scarred because Willy Wonka had started cussing. And I was so upset. I was like, oh my god, no! Not Gene!
The facade has been broken.
Ah! But, I mean, now I'm over it. I've seen Blazing Saddles. I'm like, that's like one of my favorite movies ever. But like, at that point in time in my life, I was heartbroken.
Yeah.
Anyway, just side note. So, yeah, and then of course Dorothy does the whole, you've been brave all along. You're the smartest in the group. You're the most caring in the group, but I can't go home. And then Space Glinda, mama, woman.
With the random children hanging on, like, you can't see the, like, they're in the abyss, but you can obviously tell they're suspended randomly.
I was like, is she the moon? Is she, well, who is this? And why didn't she help before?
Yeah. Well, yeah, like, she obviously brought her there, but you don't, like,
Yeah, in this one,
missing things.
In this version, Glinda, we find out via IMDb 8,000 years later, Glinda basically in this one picks up Dorothy and puts her in Oz.
Yeah.
Why? For what? It's not just a random storm. Why did you select Glinda? And then why did you select Dorothy? And then why are you? It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Nope.
And her costume is really pretty, but her headdress drives me insane.
Nobody except literally, with the Eveline's costume is really cool. I like the trinkets. I like the stuff. I am a trinket queen, though. I am a trash queen, so like I think that's why I really like it. But it's the most interesting costume. And then the lion's costume, in my opinion, is the most well designed, or like well thought out, because it is like a little pea coat, but it's not. It's really cool if you actually look at the structure of everything.
Mm-hmm. Like he's not just in
But
a
like
lion suit.
none of the costumes really felt or looked, even the ones in Oz, because that's what I was like, okay, here we go, Oz. This is where we're gonna. Nothing.
Yeah, it wasn't like the Moulin Rouge where you're like, oh, those are
Right,
so
where
cool.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's so many people, and I don't want to look at any of them.
Yeah, well, in this entire movie, I was trying to see something that I was like, that is memorable. I'm really going to remember that. I don't
Mm-mm.
have a favorite this time. Like, I think
No.
there's some that are cool and well thought out, and there's some that are like, did you just not like this character? You didn't want, like,
Dorothy's costume is it. I do not understand. It is. I don't get it because there is no costume,
mm-mm,
and she gives zero main character vibes at all. None. She doesn't stand out from her family, and then
mm-mm,
like fit in Oz. She doesn't stand out in Oz. She doesn't stand out visually or nothing.
mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, maybe they'll do the makeover at Oz, per 1942 or whatever.
Yeah, before he
Nope.
just sees the wizard. No.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. I was a little bit confused and disappointed. I would love to see the Wiz live, or I guess the Broadway version of the Wiz, and I'd love to know the thought process of why they changed it.
Mm.
Like, why did they make it
And I was
New
under
York?
the
Why did
impression,
they?
because I've seen clips from like the stage production version of The Wiz,
Mm,
I was really not necessarily surprised, but taken aback that it was like in New York and so far from the original. Because as if you listen to our previous episode, The Wizard of Oz is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, musical,
yeah.
and it has been since I was like itty bitty, like infatuated with it since my mom turned it on the TV screen, and which is one of the reasons why I really, 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 really want to see Wicked, and I have not been able to yet, but hopefully that'll
You haven't
change.
still seen Wicked?
No, I haven't.
I, for some reason, thought you saw it this Broadway season.
Nope, it's coming in 2024 to Knoxville, and come heck or high water, I'm getting tickets. And it's
I mean, yeah.
coming around my birthday, so I'm buying tickets, and happy birthday to me. So, but
Yeah.
no, but that's one of the main reasons why I really want to see Wicked, and I was excited to see The Wiz because, like we've said, The Wizard of Oz is like so nostalgic for me. And this one, I'm
Yeah.
like, what did you do? I was
Yeah.
hoping it would be closer, so now I really want to find a video or something of the stage production of it.
Mhm.
Because there was
Yeah.
mixed
I mean,
reviews on this one. Like some people absolutely thought it was trash, and some people loved it. And I'm kind of like somewhere in the middle.
it's definitely under cult classic from everything that I've seen.
Hmm.
And it really falls under, like, I was just looking up while you were talking, and other people agree too. It falls under that blaxploitation film era,
Hmm.
and it's right in that spot. And I think that's why, because those films were so popular and people like young Black America was, seeing themselves in it. That's why they did it. But a lot of people, I mean, I guess the argument could be made now of like, why did they do that? But it makes sense then. It makes sense like a couple years ago too, when people started putting more gay representation, more trans representation, everything like that. And now you're like, well, why did they even do that? Because it's, they're everywhere or it's so oversaturated. But I mean, back then it wasn't.
Right.
So I think that they were trying to.
And it's not even that I think made it feel weird to me. It was just how rushed it seemed. The only you only get bits and pieces of it being like the Wizard of Oz, like other than their characters' names and some of the plot, does it really tie back to the Wizard of Oz?
Mm-mm.
Like it's completely 180.
This one doesn't at all. But like I read the definition of the Wiz live,
Right, which is why I want to watch
is,
it.
Yeah, which I think is like the only adaptation. They're not doing it on Broadway right now. I don't know, but it's like the only adaptation of it. I don't know why they just didn't do the Broadway show, other than that wasn't what was being presented to Black audiences at the time. But my thing is you could have introduced.
I feel like you can urbanize it and put it there, but still stay true to the storyline a little more.
Yeah, I don't like how dark it felt. I don't like that there was just a complete and utter lack of whimsy and stuff, which maybe, again, like, that's where I go, well, is that the allegory? Is that the part where it's like, yeah, well, like, urban 1970s America, New York, for Black Americans was XYZ. It wasn't whimsy. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't that thing. And I'm like, yeah, but, like, they deserve to see that, too. They deserve to see themselves represented in that whimsy, in that happy, I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's hard to speak on it as a not Black American. Like, it's hard to continue to dive into it, because I don't know.
Right. And then that's where I'm at, too. Like, I want to like it because it is different, and, you know, people have their, like, artistic differences on way, but I want it to be closer to the original, which they may have just been like, we're going to just get a teeny bit, but then, like, make it our own, so it's its own thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? But, like,
yeah,
I wanted to like it, but some of it I was just like, I don't understand what's happening.
I think if they had done that and also, like, thickened the plot more, for lack of better words, and, like, just done more, because, again, like, you see Evelyn for 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's very rushed, like you said. Very rushed. You
don't know anything about her. You don't know anything about her character. You don't know why the people, I mean, we saw the people in the chains, but we had two different interpretations of what they were. Mine was, she's enslaving people. Yours was, they messed up. Like, it's, what is the correct interpretation?
Right. To be a 2-hour movie, it seems very rushed.
For being a 2-hour movie, I don't know what the movie was about.
Right.
Like,
if you had never seen Wizard of Oz, you'd be like, what did I just watch? This movie doesn't make sense. But because we've seen the original and know the original plot, we can fill those holes and wonder, why wasn't it shown?
Yeah. You know what I mean? And like I even said, I was trying to think about, like, okay, the subway, I'm assuming, is the trees.
Yeah.
Attacking them, because we still have yet to see any indication that the Wicked Witch is even after them.
Yeah. Until she says, go get them, and then all of a sudden they're there.
Right. It's a hard thing, because it is so culturally significant to a different culture. Like, you want to be respectful of it, but at the same time, it's like, I just don't like this movie. Mm-hmm. I think that the singing is phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
But I in the context of the movie, I don't. I would say, honestly, like a 4 all around.
It has its ups and downs, but I would honestly give it like a 2.5.
Yeah, I think I am still trying to be respectful, and, like, not that you're being disrespectful. Just like
all respect, like it. I know some people love it, but because I love the original so much, it's really, really hard for me to give it like a 4 or a 5. Like, singing, 8. Like,
10,
everybody
yeah,
can sing.
phenomenal, yeah.
Some of the scenes, but because it's rushed, it doesn't make sense. There's so many times I'm like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know where we are.
Yeah,
It could have been done better. So I
yeah.
kind of want to see like the live version or the stage version. I kind of want to try to find the Fox live version to see
Mhm.
how it is because, like you said, it has the same songs and the
Mhm.
same feel. It's just not
But they're in different spots. Like
right.
the Tin Man song for What Would It Be If I Could Feel, I think was like talking like in response to the wizard being like, get out of here. Like he was like, but what would it be if I could feel?
Right.
If I
See, that would make
it's
more
this whole
sense.
different, yeah, it's this whole different vibe versus whatever the problem was with the Tin Man. Yeah,
Hmm.
I think I am just I'm trying to tread, even though like I'm not being disrespectful, I'm trying to tread lightly.
It's
So
like
I think
this
it's more of like a
version, I
3.
I don't really care for.
Yeah, no, I
Like
think it's like a 3. Like it's like a 3
two and a
with
half,
two
3.
and a
Like
half. I
I want to,
there's
I want
nothing
to like
about
it.
this. There's nothing about this that would make me watch it again.
Right.
You know, unfortunately, like if somebody was like, "Do you want to watch The Wiz?" I'd be like, "Not really."
Yeah, not that version.
Yeah, I would love to see this remade,
Mhm.
this version
Mhm.
of them being in Harlem, of them being in wherever,
Right.
remade now and fluffed out a little bit.
Yeah, no, I would completely agree. I feel like if they would have fixed the plot holes,
Yeah,
rearranged some things a little bit to make it make sense, it
yeah.
would have been a much more enjoyable movie. And maybe
Like the Tin Man could have been a carny who, because he wasn't feeling, his wife threw a bucket of water on him to rust him up
right.
because he didn't have any empathy for her.
Right.
And what would it be if I could feel, like what would my life be? That was my fourth wife and I just keep running them off.
Because he's
Like,
really the only character that you don't see that he doesn't have a heart. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like all the rest of them, you see like, oh well, he doesn't have a brain, but he's actually really smart. Oh, he says he's not courageous, but he just saved them and he's really brave. But they don't really circle back to the Tin Man being
The
like he doesn't have a heart.
No, the only thing I could think of is that he. No, because I think that was the Scarecrow who said the lion should come with them.
Hmm.
But I think he was like, he's just a lion. He's just a little fella. Like, I think he said something kind of along those lines of like, oh, we can't be mad at him. He's just a little fella. Or he's just a little scared. Like, I think he did have like 2 or 3 lines.
Yeah, but
But I mean, like, it wasn't fighting off the subway. And it wasn't using every single ACT, SAT word you could think of in humanity.
it's not as blatantly like in your face as the other ones.
Right.
Which is another like quote unquote like plot hole that like if they would have shown the villains more like earlier on
Mm.
and made it make more sense. Like I think this would have
Mm-hmm.
been a great adaptation of The Wizard of Oz, but
Yeah. I,
because it's so confusing and the entire
yeah.
time I'm like I don't know what's happening is why I think
No.
it's so low.
No. I agree. I agree with you. Like I would, and I don't feel like there's a lot that they would have to change or
No.
do.
Like literally
Just
just put
add
that blip
in.
of you killed my sister, I'm coming after you.
Mm-hmm.
And it would make it so much it would make it so much scarier now that the Wiz says, I want you to go kill her. But she's trying to kill me. So
Yeah. No, I agree 1,000%. It'd be fun to see them redo this. I mean, we're in a era of redos, so maybe not let it
this is
breathe.
true.
But I would like to see maybe some deleted scenes if you have any of those. Although 3 months of filming, you probably don't.
Right.
Like,
And that's probably why like
um,
they just were like, we don't have time for that, we're gonna cut it. I don't know.
I have no idea. I mean, everything that I found was just like every time that I Googled or looked something up, it was really just people talking about this is culturally significant and it sucks. And it was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean? How do you both? I don't understand.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of like I really want to love it, but I really just don't, which is how I feel. Like I feel
Mm.
like it would could be a great adaptation of it, but it just fell
Yeah.
short.
Yeah, and I would have loved to see Diana Ross be Diana Rossed up. Like
Yes.
I would have loved for them to do the scene in Oz of like transformation, like, oh no, you're not wearing green. Like,
Yeah, like if it didn't across the screen say starring Diana Ross, I would not have known that was her because I'm used to her in like
no.
sparkly, head to toe
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
fabulousness. Like I don't know if it's later on. I attribute her to her like big fro
Big
hair
hair.
that's gorgeous. You like, but I didn't see any of that. I would
No.
not have known until she
Nope.
opened her mouth to sing that that was Diana Ross. Would
Nope.
not have.
Would not. Nope.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know,
would I
man.
watch it again? Probably not. Would I listen to some of the songs again?
Oh
Sure.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I listened to what would it be if I feel a lot
Yeah.
before I even watch this again. I really like that song.
And I didn't know that the last song, and I don't even know what the name of the song is and how I knew it beforehand. And honestly, I want to say I heard it in Glee. I didn't
Fair
know that
enough.
that was from The Wiz. I did not know it was
fair
from The
fair
Wiz.
enough.
That's literally the only thing I can think of where I may have heard that song before.
What are we watching next time?
Ooh.
Hopefully something phenomenal.
Oh, ooh, okay. I'm excited about this one.
Okay.
Any guesses? Any guesses?
Okay.
Any guesses?
You're excited about it. Do you think I've seen it?
It's
Is it American in Paris?
no, it's new-ish.
Oh, what is it?
Matilda the musical, 2022.
Oh, cute!
Yeah.
Oh, exciting! Okay, yay! Super fun.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching episode 6 or listening to episode 6 of And That's One of My Favorites, where we talked about The Wiz. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Next week, we're going to be listening and watching to Matilda. Yay! I'm excited. I've actually seen this one a couple of times. This one was done in 2022. And
Oh my
Samara
goodness.
has not seen it, but she has listened to the soundtrack, so it's exciting.
Yes.
It's really cute. I think you guys will like it.
I also
Um,
auditioned for
you did for the
Matilda the
Trunchbull, right?
musical. Well, I just auditioned in general. I wanted to do it. I didn't get a call back, but I auditioned, and that's all that matters. Is I did the thing.
Yeah, I think you would have been great
Anyway.
in it, though. Anyways, um, if you guys want to continue to listen, feel free to watch us on Spotify or YouTube. Spotify, you can find us at That's One of My Favorites podcast. And if you have any questions, concerns, or have something that you want us to add to the list to watch, feel free to email us at oneofmyfaves@gmail.com, and we'd be happy to take your suggestions. But yeah, thanks again for joining us,
Yay!
and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Also,
kidding.
you calling me out to your friend for not liking Romeo and Juliet. I still want to be your
No,
friend.
she she texted me and she was like, "Excuse me, I thought me and Emily could be friends,"
We
and I
can
was like,
still
"I'm
be
so
friends.
Samantha."
I don't know who you are, but I still want to be your friend.
Oh, please be my friend. Anyway,
Right.
okay.
Can I put that in the bloopers?
Yes.